welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetCertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetCertive talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. I'm your host, Erin Martin, and this episode is brought to you by NetCertive. Today, our guest is Leigh Feldman, the CEO of Youth Franchise Brands. Leigh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And I very much appreciated our pre-conversation before this actual recorded conversation. You're allowing me to accept who I am and myself and the person I'm becoming. So thank you for that. I'm sure we'll touch on that during this interview, but I very much appreciate the pre-talk.
We're all here to live our best, most authentic lives, which I think when you get a little bit closer to midlife, you realize you just shed a lot of the insecurities and just get after it, which is quite an amazing feeling. I'm sure we'll dive into all of it.
I'm glad you touched on the midlife part because I feel like that's such an important time for a lot of folks that really pursue entrepreneurship and choose to take control of their financial destiny. So a lot we will definitely talk about.
Love it. And yeah, just to kick it off and give our listeners some background, can you share a little bit more about you and then your role at Youth Franchise Brands right now?
Yeah, so my name is Leigh Feldman, as you touched on. And yes, I have come to accept that my hairline is disappearing, as we talked about the pre-production parts. But I am the CEO of Youth Franchise Brands. I wish I was more youthful. And we play in the space of kids, family, and adults that do sort of corporate training that don't necessarily want to go to Topgolf or do axe throwing. We have two brands that we'll be talking about today. One of them is Young Chefs Academy, and the other is Flower Power Cooking Studios. And they are franchise organizations that really focus primarily on kids cooking, but do also do some of the adult and corporate events as well.
Awesome. And yeah, I know that you've had a ton of experience in the franchise space, which I love. Also, at one point was the podcast host at Entrepreneur. So just a wealth of experience. And so I'm curious from that standpoint, and especially being part of a parent company and platform company, what's your guys' approach to building a great system?
Yeah, I think when it comes to building a system, we're looking at two main sort of levers. Investing in the franchise owners, the brands and people currently in the system. So making sure we increase AUV for our system locations currently. And that really comes with a lot of investment, whether from helping fill the funnel, from the marketing standpoint and the advertising standpoint, having partnerships that we bring to the table, influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, some of the cashback rewards things we do, putting the right people in the right seat to really support. It's about making sure that the people that are already in the system feel taken care of and see growth opportunities there as well. Whether, again, individually at their single door or thinking about increasing their footprint and bringing a second or third location to market as well and having sort of those economies of scale and more earning as they have more locations. And then obviously investing on outside growth, bringing new people into the system that see the support we're providing, love the concept, love the idea of what we're doing, and go, wow, that would be a really fun day-to-day, which it is. And so we're always having conversations with new potential franchisees. So I'd encourage anyone that's listening today that also maybe is in midlife or approaching midlife that's thinking about taking control of sort of their financial destiny and thinking about entrepreneurship to reach out and talk to us at Youth Franchise Brands about some of the brands we represent and why it might make sense for them.
And so for the shared services perspective on some of those programs that you mentioned, do you provide all of that at the home office level for your brands and the Z's then? How do you have that structured?
Yeah, absolutely. The phrase that you will hear most common in our network is, how can we act as your aspirin? A lot of us have been franchisees. We now work for the franchisor, and we want to take the things off their plate that aren't necessary as far as their focus. And when I mean necessary as their focus, I believe it's the role of the franchisor to really do some of those things that are the day-to-day business operations that franchisees maybe didn't think they'd be doing when they're purchasing a small business, part of a larger system. So we want to act as the aspirin and eliminate the headaches for those things with agency partners as much as possible. And I think that's the part when you think of shared services, the people that can extend across multiple brands, work on the same things, gather best practices, news, information, insights, things that maybe didn't work that you want to optimize and change, and share that with everyone so that they can make informed decisions. And again, I believe it's the franchisor's role to provide support there so that they can really focus on three main things. Number one is the experience. And I say a remarkable experience. And I always mean that in the truest sense of the word of remarkable. I want people leaving our locations and talking about it. I want them telling their family, their friends, their community, that place is amazing, you have to go. And ideally, we give them a referral card to really assist in making that introduction or that recommendation. But number one is remarkable experience. And number two and three are reputation and relationship. If I can take all the other stuff off their plate so they can focus on those three things, I think we've done the right work as the franchisor.
Love that. And yeah, I think one trend I've been seeing and hearing from different franchise marketers is also in this post-COVID era where we almost over-relied on a lot of paid media programs to do so much on the marketing front. It was like that was the only channel we needed. Everything was going great. Now we swung back to a lot of this grassroots marketing being needed and really focusing on being the mayor of your market,
Yes.
which means getting them out of the weeds on all the other things so that they can do so much of that in-market referral, networking, relationship building, event marketing, all those different components with a really strong shared services and the home office covering so much so that they can balance being invested in marketing, but not being spread too thin while they're also trying to run a business.
Yeah. I love that you said mayor because we talk about, think of it like you're running for mayor. Where do you want to campaign? Who do you want to endorse you? And what outlets do you want to be in? That's exactly how you need to approach your community and your market specifically. Obviously taking into effect impact of seasonality, socioeconomic factors, all those things that really talk about your core consumer and who you want to hit. But when you talk about running for mayor, you nailed it 1000%. That's what we coach and train on as well.
And you did also mention influencer marketing. So I'm curious what that program looks like for you guys. How did you start that? What does it look like?
Yeah, we cover all of the content creation. We want aid to discovery through a few different ways. We want influencers to come in, create things that owners can use for a Google business profile, their newsletter, their social media, really have assets both in video and photo static form that can be used for a variety of ways. There's obviously blog content, things that come from that. They can then send out affiliate links so they have opportunity for earning. But this is all a project and program where we as home office invest in. And so we build those relationships. We introduce them to the franchisees. Those influencers then come, they schedule content shoots, they promote, again, impacting that sort of aid to discovery with their followers, moving those people over, non-financial impact, and then obviously a pay for performance partnership if we can build that out, if the influencer is interested. So there's a real financial return that we can measure as well.
Awesome. And yeah, I've seen people do it different ways in that they've tested influencers in specific pockets or regions, use the platform that will connect you with someone that matches your brand values and messaging, and then also just gone through agencies. How do you guys deploy it?
Yeah, we look for individual folks. We reach out to them directly. I do think there are some great platforms, but I think the vertical in which we exist makes it a little harder. We work with some of the mom blogger influencers, some of the creative content producers, foodies that also know that their followers have children, that they reach families. So for us, it's more about the impact that they'll make, not necessarily driving the impressions and new followers to our page. It's really more about the redemptions. It's the return with a financial measurement. How many people are signing up for this workshop, this class, this event, this camp? Some of the things that we track as far as real metrics from return on ad spend.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, talk to me a little bit more about the programs you guys have going. Are they straight workshop style, like you had mentioned? Do you push membership and subscriptions? How does your guys' models look like across?
Yeah, we certainly are a membership model. We want that predictability for revenue. We want our owners to know that on the first, second, or third, whenever a membership's processed, that they're good. They're covering their fixed costs, they're covering their labor, their payroll, their cost of goods, anything in their general ledger that's making sense to say, now I can take a breath. Everything beyond this is net operating income that I can really account for as a percentage to go to me, percentage of things that I can invest in. But so membership is certainly the foundational piece. That is the baseline that we look at for all things because, again, it's that predictability. We also offer class packs if clients are interested in buying classes as they go. We have drop-ins as well. We do have the camps, the single workshops, parents' night out, kids' night out, corporate events. Really just depends on the market and sort of the pricing structure in the market for those things. But membership will always be our base thing. Everything ancillary, your camps, your birthday parties, everything else I just discussed, that makes up the additional 40 to 50% of income each month.
Yeah, awesome. And the corporate programs that you guys have, do you just look at a market and try to see if there's less competition there to fill that gap? Like, where's the niche where you guys found that it is successful to deploy for
Yeah.
Z?
It's really more of big businesses looking for something that they can do to treat their employees well. Again, that's not top golf or axe throwing. And so we have some corporate partners. Yeah, they come in and they actually come in with an HR person to really talk through communication, delegation, team building. So it's more of a team building exercise more so than cooking and learning real kitchen skills for some of those companies, because they're using the activity as conduit to have conversations about how does the team work together? How can they improve their communication with one another?
Nice. And yeah, you also mentioned all of the things that you're looking at from that membership perspective and the sales around that. So what does the back end look like? I know one thing that I feel like maybe half of marketers are getting their arms around and the other half are still struggle busting is integrating systems and having that full attribution view of what's happening with their campaigns, whether it's digital or grassroots, and the impact it's having on sales. And so what does that look like for you guys?
Oh, it is so important. And I love that you mentioned attribution, because that's the biggest thing. We want to know, what are we spending? What's bringing a return? What's the return on that spend? What's the LTV of the clients that come from that? How sticky are they? And does it make the most sense to put our energy, effort, resources, and dollars into that channel, into that outlet? And then on the other side, we certainly want these sort of automation, segmentation, communication to be run through, so it's very easy for us to reach the people that are in our system. So we have a pretty robust tech stack when it comes to making sure that those things make sense for our owners, having dashboards that they can understand. This is point of attribution for X amount of clients that came in, X amount of members that they converted, and then what do we do to communicate to them to keep them coming back? Our programs are built very similar to a karate or taekwondo, if you will, in the sense that you start off as a white chef jacket, you earn your patches and stripes, and you eventually become a black jacket chef. So we have some very good things to battle attrition, to increase retention, and really attention in the classrooms. And then digital systems in the back end to help owners manage that of, when should I be talking to the people that are really my customers?
And you make it sound so simple, which is amazing, but we all know it's not necessarily easy, even if the idea of attribution and understanding where you should invest sounds simple. So I'm curious if you're up for sharing what exactly your tech stack does look like. I know a lot of marketers as well, I'm hearing, especially in your guys' space where either you're booking something, there's membership based, people are struggling with CRMs and booking systems and moving away from antiquated old systems that aren't working or communicated anymore, and trying to think about, how do I completely revamp my tech stack? So I'm curious if you'd be up for sharing specific systems that you guys use.
Probably not, but I would say UTM is everything.
Okay, there we go. Cheat code. Track it. Awesome.
Absolutely.
And then how about on the data side? Do you guys use a BI tool then, or do you use the tools or systems that are within the CRM to be able to analyze what's going on? How do you guys think about and look at data?
Yeah, we have a Power BI tool that we've built custom that allows everything to go, so we can look at individual locations, regional reports, national reports, really to get a sense of how people are performing. My piece with data, is it important because it's measured, or measured because it's important? So we really try to narrow down on the specifics that we want to discuss with our owners and what's actually driving their business, not just non-financially with the vanity metrics of followers, likes, engagement, but also the purchasing that comes from all the channels where we are.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think that's something that I've learned in my time as a marketing leader, is that just because you have a set of KPIs doesn't mean that's the lens that you should be looking at it with. If you have a whole world of other KPIs that you wish you had, or using some proxy metrics to bring to the table, you need to widen that aperture so that you can look, and I think just correctly set expectations with other executive team members of, we know this, but we don't know this. We're assuming XYZ, fill in the blanks, but that makes sure that everybody is understanding the full scope of what you're looking at, and if there's gaps where they could be coming from, and the assumptions that come into play and how you want to swim towards filling those gaps. And so I think what you said is so important, because it's really easy to just have this core set of metrics because that is the only thing you can collect, and end up over rotating on it because you aren't trying to swim in and fold in these other pieces that are really critical as well.
Yeah, we want everyone on the team, franchisees and people on the franchisor support system, to understand what our North Star is. And so we need to all be on the same page. So just saying you are in charge of certain KPIs for certain metrics and not understanding how that impacts the business, that doesn't really work for us. We treat each of our locations as an asset for the owner, whether they want it as growth capital and they want to scale it fast and quickly and flip it as a franchise license and transfer it in 3 years, or if they want to hold it, like some of our locations that just renewed an FA for an additional decade, who will be in our system for 30 years when that expires. I think a lot of it also has to deal with, are you measuring the inputs or are you measuring the outputs? And really, again, what makes sense related to your North Star for your business.
Yeah. And so for franchisees, for example, do you guys give them the same access to the same BI tool, or do you have a different simplified dashboard for them? What does that kind of communication and education loop look like for you guys?
Yeah, we send monthly reports for each of our things, and then we have monthly operating reviews to discuss those with owners.
Nice. That's awesome. And what else do you guys have on the docket going into 2026 initiative-wise?
We have some amazing national partnerships with some specific food groups that I
Ooh.
think are really interesting and really exciting. Some people that have reached out to us that obviously understand our ability to distribute information, curriculum, tactile understanding, being able to incorporate things into our curriculum, that they're excited about working with us to create custom programming for kids, parents, adults related to specific foods that we want to have future consumers be exposed to. So I'm excited that 2026 will bring some awesome partnerships. And then, of course, on the TV side, we always work with some of the kids casting shows and adult casting shows. Shout out to Barbecue Brawl Season 7, currently casting and talking to us about some of the members in our system for that show potentially. Master Chef Junior, a lot of things in the Food Network. So we're excited to expand on those partnerships as well.
That's cool. Where did that idea and partnership bloom from?
I think a lot of things began over the 21 years of Young Chefs Academy operating, of reaching out to us and saying, you are the premier kids cooking school and academy in the country. We want to work with you. And that's everything from Master Chef Junior to Paramount Pictures, working with us on Smurfs and Sonic and SpongeBob SquarePants and Nickelodeon with Blippi, and really saying, we want to use you to gain access to your members.
That's so cool. And you do have to expand on Smurfs for me. Out of all of those, I've seen the Smurfs movie. I think all of them because my kids love it. So what was the Smurfs connection?
We did a partnership with them about Smurfs in Paris, the most recent movie starring Rihanna, if you have not seen that one. And we did some awesome in-location activations related to Smurf-tastic recipes, if you will. We did movie ticket giveaways to see premiere screenings, as well as some Smurf swag that was given to some of our members too.
I love it. And so for those type of programs, how do you measure impact for those then? Because that's one of those where it can get into you're not necessarily using a UTM code for tracking. So how do you guys think about those type of campaigns and partnerships?
Yeah, ultimately having it be a split between current members and offering X amount of seats to that event for current members as a reward or a surprise and delight, or an additional workshop opportunity, and then opening up X amount of seats to people in the community from the partner's promotion, seeing if we can introduce them to an intro class or convert them into becoming a member to continue to join us, because obviously they love the program, they love to cook, they're now aware of our space, who we are, what we do, what it looks like, they've met some of our other kids, and then of course the influencer and affiliate plays that some of those partners bring, to see what brings us, again, the non-financial impact of new followers and the financial impact of people buying memberships, gift cards, future camp registrations, all through that program.
That's awesome. And I can imagine the amount of just epic video assets and stories and content that you have there is amazing.
Everything is content.
Some people don't have the best. I'm not going to lie. I have talked to a lot of franchise marketers, and sometimes some of the images, the video is a little lacking. The potential is wildly there. I'll say that.
I
But
do not disagree with you.
you have to capture it. And then once you have it, you have to disseminate it and figure out the right mediums and channels. And so you mentioned TV, some movies. Like, what does the digital mix look like for you guys on how you reuse that in your digital marketing?
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty robust programmatic and display campaign that we use for targeting really the decision makers ultimately for deciding if their children will come to our events. I think just on the event side, though, we do a pretty good job, or at least I hope we do, of training folks on the pre-event, the during event, and post-event marketing mix that we want to make sure we use those assets for. And so a lot of stuff that we provide support on as the franchisor and home office, and then some things we rely on the owners to do pre, during, and post on the event side for their location specifically.
Yeah, so good. And what else is working for you guys on the marketing side right now?
I would say everything else is our secret sauce that I wouldn't want to share, but if people can reach out to me and are interested to join our network, there are things that we would bring to the table, investments we'd make to really, again, help fill their funnel.
Awesome. And yeah, I know we're coming up a little bit on time, but one thing I do want to touch on that has been either people love it or hate it is AI. And I'm curious just either your personal thought on it, how you guys are using it right now, or how you're thinking about it in the future.
Yeah, I think we are an AI enhanced business versus a business that is threat of AI. We do tactile vocational skills. We teach kids how to cook, adults how to cook. Until AI starts doing that, I think we're okay. Though this is being recorded 3 years from now, maybe Perplexity, Claude, they're making all our meals. Though my personal opinion, there's a quote, I wish I could attribute it to the person that said it first, but it was essentially, I don't want AI to do my art and writing and reading for me so I have more time to do the dishes. I want AI to do the dishes and the laundry so I have more time to create art and writing and reading.
Amen.
And I think it is a valuable tool. I think especially when you talk about GEO versus SEO and the way it is changing the digital landscape, it's really interesting to ideally free up more time for everyone, but obviously larger impacts on jobs, workforce, education, learning, retention of information, people's interest in information. I think we're going to see some negative consequences from that, unfortunately. But for the purposes of work and allowing our owners to focus on those real relationship building pieces, increasing their reputation in their market and focusing on an experience, which I think is oh so important, whether it's group, community, one-on-one, I think there's some value in leveraging AI tools.
Yeah. And I love the quote that you mentioned because it's very applicable to, I think, any worker. And I think especially as a marketer, you have this life where you live in art and science, and that's why you get into it at the intersection of it and getting creative, but also being data-driven and scientific. But then underneath that all is the just manual, annoying task that you could do without thinking, and you just want to automate that away. So I think there is so many cool things about AI that can take some of those automated steps and brainless work off your plate so you can focus more on strategic items as a leader or being creative as a marketer and just the things that move the needle and make a really big impact. So I'm excited for a lot of those stuff that comes about, is whether it's data analysis or workflow automations and just taking those steps out of your day. I'm super excited about.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that your job, your position in life is under threat of AI?
Absolutely not. I don't at all. Yes. I think there's always going to be a human needed that's driving a machine, and we can use so many different cool tools to analyze things, but you need to have that human layer on top of it. So I don't feel threatened. Maybe I should be, but
I hope not.
See the challenges today, and I'm like, you can't solve all this with AI. So
yeah, I'm in an area where I think so many people have been impacted by downsizing that the fear is that now, as you said, being able to streamline what you produce, what you create, what you review, what you manage, there isn't the need for as many people. And we always need to please the stockholders, the investors, the fund, and elimination of human capital is sometimes the easiest thing to do, especially if you can do 3 people's jobs. using
Yes.
AI tools.
100%. And I would say, I think you're nailing it in that there are some roles where it's forcing you to evolve and add more value or get cut. Like, for example, if you're just creating blogs or a content creator, like, I could be dangerous with AI and research and writing my own blog posts faster than a traditional just writer, for example. So I think there are some areas where you have to evolve and get better and provide more value than a simple AI tool or task could do. So there are arenas like that where like you do have to evolve or potentially die type thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Differentiation, innovation, experience, speed, all of the things that you need to know to keep from dying in that sense.
Yeah, and we're here for it. And then one question I always like to ask everyone as well, is there anything that you wish we would have touched on that we didn't?
No, I hope people are excited to learn more about kids cooking in the space that we exist in, franchise ownership in the space that we exist in, and all the support we provide as a franchisor to the people in our system. They can reach out to me, Leigh Feldman, Leigh, Feldman, Feldman. If you're of a certain age, I say Feldman like Corey Feldman, and you know who that is. Or you just look at me and go, I don't know who that is. What are you talking about? And we're at Young Chefs Academy and Flower Power Cooking Studios.
Awesome. Leigh, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. This was fantastic. And hopefully in 3 years, if AI hasn't taken over, we can talk again and see what of this came true and what did not.
We'll still be here.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netcertive.com.